Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarne Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before Karmi movies, sometimes it's stated this is adult material, not suitable for children. Or before a video clip, news clip, sometimes there's a warning that this is graphic material, so persons who are likely to be offended are warned not to watch it. So, in that spirit, I'm warning, if you are highly spiritually sensitive, or sensitive about spiritual matters, or you prefer to live in a childlike dreamland where leaders of our glorious ISKCON movement can do no wrong, and even if they do something wrong, that Krishna will automatically, by some, who knows, abracadabra process, put it all right. If you prefer to remain in that way of thinking, you are warned, please don't watch this. This is not for children. I've been asked to comment. I was asked to make a 3-minute video about my thoughts on the recent resolution of ISKCON's GBC about authorizing female Diksha gurus. I was asked to make a 3-minute video with my comment on that, but 3 minutes clearly isn't enough, and I'm going to speak more than that. In this session, I'm just going to read comments of 2 God brothers and 1 God sister, just to show it's not only myself who, of course not. There's so many who are concerned about this issue. First of all, I'm going to read an appeal for due diligence and due process by my godbrother Abhirama Prabhu. He wrote, "To all who aspire to serve and those who do serve Srila Prabhupada, my sincere obeisance. I have been reflecting on the FDG issue." FDG, Female Diksha Guru. "I have been reflecting on the FDG issue, which some of you are currently debating with the majority of our GBC godbrothers, and feel that understanding of any such issue requires it firstly to be put into context. Please keep in mind that I do not enter this discussion enthusiastically, but as a concession to requests by a few beloved godbrothers. So at risk of appearing presumptuous, I beg for all who may read this to forgive me if you find this offends. It is not intended, and I clearly understand my own numerous disqualifications to advise any Vaishnava. Firstly, let us consider the forum for which this new approach, FDG, to Diksha has been sanctioned, namely the GBC. This is the same forum with a history of making some massively destructive decisions, such as the full endorsement, and in fact enforcement, of the disastrous zonal acharya system. This was the forum that oversaw the Gurukul system for decades, only scrambling to reform, not yet done well, Gurukul, and protect our children, also currently underfunded, long after it was impossible to avoid. This is the same forum that blindly supported fallen sannyasis and even so-called gurus until the evidence was impossible to ignore. Most certainly the above are just a few of numerous errors in judgment, proving to any rational mind that this GBC body is far from perfect and even far from being very good at their job as ISKCON's ultimate managing authority. In many, many crucial moments in our institution's history, in fact, the GBC body did the very worst thing, often to appease the strong and popular while compromising the purity and integrity of ISKCON. Please consider this my first piece of evidence for what I hope will be a useful suggestion for preserving the institution, and that is that our GBC has failed as much as succeeded, and in the most crucial times failed more than succeeded in preserving the integrity of the institution. If we cannot learn from history or reflectively review our past, we are doomed. From this point, I intend sounding the alarm of caution to not rush to judgment, as humans in power are wont to do. Next, I suggest another aspect of the big picture within which this FDG issue is being considered, and that is the argument of expediency and the need to attract modern Westerners to our flock. Please consider for a moment if the pace and size of growth to which we unthinkingly assume is our duty to achieve was truly what Srila Prabhupada wanted. What did he mean by so many statements like, those selling diamonds should not expect many customers? Why did he close down Vishnu Jan Swami's roadshow when it was so popular? Why did he caution us about enjoying kirtan versus seeking only to please the Lord, calling that mood Kali Kirtan, the enjoying kirtan, Kali Kirtan? And why did he repeat on a number of questions, on a number of occasions, boil the milk? In my presence, in late 1977, he again said, no more growth. What this would have required of us was so unthinkable that the leaders present never once repeated it, what to speak of considered it, because it would require us to come up from devotional service in Rajoguna to performing our devotional service in more pure goodness. Why also, when Srila Prabhupada approved again in my presence any and all devotees to come to be with him in Vrindavan, did the leaders, GBC, decide that they knew better and hide this fact in favor of the book marathons going on in the Christmas season? I suggest the reason was that from the mode of passion, they assumed that this was not the right choice and thus chose to violate his desire order. Now we face a new challenge, a new crossroads, which will have far greater consequences than the zonal acharya system and all the other blunders put together. If we claim that this will increase our success, have we first tried the methods championed by Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, such as massive Harinam Sankirtan in the USA? I recall my own last attempt at this, sitting on the cement of Union Square with a band of true believers for 5 years, when I had already crossed my 60th birthday, but getting only token participation from my senior godbrothers. But now, having abandoned traditional methods of propagation, we come up with new ways to attract. And do we want those recruits so badly that we allow them to dictate abandoning tradition in favor of untested social reconstructions? Have we also decided that growth alone, no matter the quality of surrender, and in spite of statements to the contrary by Srila Prabhupada, is the goal? There is no evidence that large popularity among the foolish populace is a better result than a few devotees with a deep conviction and eagerness to surrender. Then, too, disregard all other Vaishnava Sampradayas as if they are fools. To Americanize, modernize, and alter age-old traditions without much deeper review seems reckless, at least. Currently, ISKCON has become very dependent on the participation and support of Indian devotees and congregations. Despite the impressions they give due to their culture, they are only faithful to the traditions that they currently believe ISKCON embodies. As soon as they doubt our commitment to those traditions, they will depart or reorganize outside of GBC leadership in droves. Please consider that our stock of gurus and GBC are not half as impressive or charismatic as we think we are. It is substantially because of the gold standard of Vedic culture and their belief that Srila Prabhupada is a genuine acharya of Vedic culture that attracts them. This is an extremely emotive, weighty issue whose consequences could be catastrophic if gotten wrong. When the GBC cannot conclude on a constitution for decades, and even minor issues can remain in debate and committees for years on end, is it wise to rush on this monumental issue? Has anyone requested Vaishnava scholars to write papers on the subject? Has anyone asked Pradyumna Prabhu to chime in after he alone saw the folly of the zonal acharya system before anyone even suspected? 2. Rush to judgment on an issue that requires far more consideration to appease appears to be highly irresponsible and even arrogant. This is as far as I wish to tread at the moment, for I am not a scholar, nor can I lay claim to the lofty title of Vaishnava. But I have been around since 1969 and had my eyes partially open, and observing and considering the lessons of history is one thing that I do a little well. Again, I beg your forgiveness to my impertinence, but I have been forced by both insistence from some revered godbrothers and by my sense of obligation to the truth and Srila Prabhupada to speak something. I sincerely hope it helps stimulate thought rather than offense. With humility, Abhiramadas, ACBSP. This appears on the Akinchana Gochara website, and I must say, apart from the content, which is striking and lucid, the whole presentation is expressive without being sentimental, with a clear message without being fanatical, and while necessarily pointing out, actually just touching on some of the less palatable history of our movement and of its GBC leadership, at the same time remaining polite. So thank you very much, Abhiram Prabhu, for that. Now I'm going to read from another godbrother of mine, Manida Prabhu, who on his own website wrote something which is in the same vein, and there are some strong words here. This essay is titled, Can Women Give Diksha Initiation? Manida Prabhu writes, There may be still alive those who remember how for 15 years as Sankirtan leader I was managing 5 vans filled with Matajis who served the same way I did, going out every day and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. The service these young women did is beyond the imagination of today's ISKCON officials, of whom some hardly ever preached actively or went on Sankirtan. These young women, entirely dedicated to the mission of Srila Prabhupada, shared the same flow of mercy. We all did, coming back to the flourishing temples filled with ecstasy. Only those can taste who are truly connected to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Indeed, Krishna himself states in Bhagavad Gita that even Shudras and women can return back home, back to Godhead when connected to a pure devotee. As mentioned already in a previous text, the question if women in general can assume managerial positions was answered and demonstrated to us by Srila Prabhupada. Clearly, the answer is no. The no is in capital letters. Even on the highest levels of universal management, those in doubt are advised to study the Leela of Lord Shiva, Daksha and Sati, leading to Sati abandoning her body while entering fire. There are problems. What to speak of us and our conditioned state? Without female-bodied devotees, we wouldn't see the creation of many ISKCON temples and farms. These surrendered Vaishnavis were collecting vast amounts of money for these projects. They maintained them, they cooked, they finally conducted the puja, and they served in entirely unconditional fashion until they often found themselves betrayed by their leaders and left alone to their state of bitterness. As Srila Prabhupada once pointed out, if a woman is betrayed once, she will never trust another man entirely. And so, these mistreated devotees will always have their manifested or hidden reservations. Regarding the nature of female bodies, it is clearly described in the Shastra and commented upon by Srila Prabhupada many times. Women joining Krishna consciousness are special, but that doesn't mean they are freed from their bodily consciousness immediately. Men not either. The process of purification demands being properly situated and commands progressive introspective view upon oneself and one's still remaining material desires. So first comes regulation, then purification, and then liberation from our bodily engagement. This text is written in view of the recent GBC resolution which installs women as Diksha Gurus. This grievous deviation calls for open resistance and opposition, as from this day ISKCON is officially designated as belonging to a deviant sampradaya. Fortunately, there are those who do oppose and those who do cherish the original instructions of Srila Prabhupada while going out and distributing his books, by going out in Harinama processions, and by distributing Krishna's prasadam. Those who do fall victim to such so-called Guru Devis are advised to take counsel in Shastra and Guru and consider while Srila Prabhupada, while praising his preaching heroines, never, in capital letters, never installed them officially in managerial positions. Even in terms of giving lectures, he writes that women indeed can lecture if a qualified man is not available. For leading kirtans and an ecstatic Vaishnavi, being surrounded by ecstatically dancing brahmacharis is indeed a bizarre sight. As much it is bizarre that such brahmacharis, by now initiated by her, offer her as Guru Dakshina, maybe some ladies' underwear. A bizarre vision indeed. Why not? The present GBC resolution sets such a scene perfectly. Growing up in ISKCON, under the care of a GBC who strongly stated that women should preach to women and men to men, I felt safe. Of course, if there are no men to preach, then women have to preach. That's a fact. Preaching must go on. But we saw female preachers falling in love with those they preached to. We saw female temple presidents turning out to be lesbian. We saw women destroying a temple while seducing the local temple president. Behind every big man there is a big woman, you know. It is a fact that without the help of mysteriously motivated men, the present female Diksha rewarding candidates wouldn't come into their position. As one man said, a woman always helps a man to get what she wants. That this principle is material, and we should be aware that we are dealing here with entirely spiritualized Vaishnavis. Really? Every initiation candidate who desires to worship such a Guru Devi should investigate into her past and her activities after she was initiated into our Sampradaya. He may be surprised what he finds. Here is a simple questionnaire for such an illusioned man or illusioned woman. How many times did my Guru Devi divorce? If abandoning her husband, why did she do so? What is her sexual orientation? How far is she intending to finance her family members by the income she earns while being a Guru Devi? Is she preaching what Srila Prabhupada said, or is she drawing her wisdom from Kami literature? If she is preaching about love, what does she mean? Shastra strongly advises brahmacharis not to be intimately associated with the wife of a guru, but doesn't say anything about the wife of the guru being a guru. Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 12, Text 7. Did Srila Vyasadeva forget something? Did Srila Prabhupada forget something when dictating the list of the initial, not ultimate, gurus who may serve in this way after his departure? Why was not one single female mentioned at that point, even though Srila Prabhupada had such high regards for the service of some of these heroines? Does the present GBC body have to rectify or improve Srila Prabhupada's decision? It may be much worse than installing a deviant sampradaya. The present decision may include also a grievous offense to Srila Prabhupada committed by those who are sufficiently arrogant to attempt to change what he has given. Are these fertile brains, as Srila Prabhupada used to call such speculators, smarter than him? How can they dare? My spiritual master is under attack, and so this text carries a far more aggressive tone than any one written here before. What are the consequences of such deviant action? So far I am informed, the resolution leaves it up to the local management to facilitate the preaching of such Guru Devis in their areas or not. This is even more confusing as it automatically invites further fragmentation of the already fragmented ISKCON. Once initiated by such a Guru Devi, where will her disciples go? We know well that disciples of certain gurus are not welcomed in certain areas. This step will drive the polarization between the individual devotee parties even further. As for those who are still determined to live their dignified lives in their particular ashrams, they may retire in embarrassment and preach individually and discreetly, but rascals and demons don't care. One of the foremost symptoms of a demon is shamelessness. As one man commented, the problem of the world today is that the fools are absolutely convinced and intelligent people are full of doubt. In simple words, fools dash in where angels fear to tread. And so the fool sampradaya may emerge for a short time victorious, but finally it is self-destructive. To end my personal grievance about this matter, I may pay my dandavats to all those Vaishnavis who carry on with their daily duties, tolerate their occasionally imbalanced husbands, help others to become part of Krishna consciousness by their motherly care, cultivate other women by their exemplary actions, try to take care and educate their often unruly offspring, and bring some peace to society while working from the back lines, offering help, support, and shelter to everybody who dares to challenge Maya's domain. Such honorable Vaishnavis are rare and should be supported in any way. They are the heroines saving men from fall down by dint of their chastity. They are the heroines to set an example of human conduct in a rapidly deteriorating society, which brings women to the level of prostitutes and Guru Devis who dare to embarrass the other members of the Guru Parampara. It is clear that the issue at hand is not settled yet, as there is a polarizing faction going on even between the GBC members. How do those feel who are voted out? The GBC is the only democratically functioning body Srila Prabhupada established, as he conceived it to be Brahminical by nature, and only Brahmanas can vote in Vedic society. There are already female GBCs, another deviation in regards to Srila Prabhupada's policies. How then can those who still cherish Srila Prabhupada's principles tolerate and serve in such a compromised atmosphere? Even mundane politicians either quit the party or the politics altogether when they find the original program they represented being compromised. Why to continue in the name of unity and continuity in perversity? There is still enough space to preach what Srila Prabhupada gave, and there are still enough devotees eager to hear. There is no need to give up what was given. One can simply remain within ISKCON and make it better by pointing out how it got compromised. If needed, point out the culprits and oppose those who plan to pervert it even further. To use the example of the Ritvik hypocrisy, there is no need to reject the whole initiation process altogether. Instead, a solid discussion based on Shastra is in order about who truly is a guru. I believe such devotees are here and ready to preach, and so I am determined to stay what I always was, an ISKCON man, member of that ISKCON Srila Prabhupada started and left us to maintain and to protect. May the deviants start their own movement. Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON should be protected and maintained. Those who are silent at this point are in the same way guilty as those who follow and maintain the deviant path. As one man said, silence is the worst form of violence. Or another added, I am not afraid of those who are evil, I am afraid of those who facilitate evilness. As the wave of madness rises to the skies, the sincere ones seek only more shelter at Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. Ultimately, as it was the case at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, everybody will face its destiny. Even devotees standing on the wrong side had to die. The choice is always ours. The Supreme Lord in his form as Anumanta and Upadrashta, the unseen observer and facilitator, grants everyone what he deserves. Very strong words there from Manidhar Prabhu. We may not agree with everything that's said, but at least this much observation can be made, that devotees who in over 40 years never spoke out publicly strongly like this are now doing so. It's a hot issue, very hot issue. Now I'm going to read from a book which I compiled called Mothers and Masters. One of the appendixes in here is by Falini Devi Dasi. The title is On the Subject of Female Diksha Gurus. This was posted on the Dandavat's website on the 5th of December 2012. Take special note that this is from a lady devotee, so the accusation that those who are opposed to this female Diksha Guru measure are simply male chauvinistic pigs or misogynists cannot apply in this case. Mataji Falini wrote, Dear respected Vaishnavas, please accept my humble pranams. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the great acharyas in our line. Thanks to all who have posted thoughtful, articulate papers and comments on the topic of female Diksha Gurus. I have been in India preaching with my husband for the last 6 weeks and during that time was not able to keep up with the back and forth as the various comments emerged. But now, after reaching USA, I have found the time to read and reread many articles and commentaries by devotees on both sides of the issue. After traveling back and forth to India many times, living among the villagers and also interacting with high-class, educated, cultured, chaste ladies, observing them in their homes and temples as well as in public, I am further convinced that our Srila Prabhupada wanted us Western women to learn how to behave like those women. Over the last 30 plus years of visiting India, I have seen powerful, effulgent women who use their native feminine power to uplift and promote their husbands. Such women are not only an inspiration to their husbands and families, but to men, women, and children outside their families as well. Women used to be satisfied remaining out of the spotlight. Remember, back in the 70s, how in every shop in Loy Bazaar, you could not find one woman making sales or even assisting the merchant. They were nowhere to be seen. They were not even to be found serving limkas to shoppers. Of course, just down the road in Delhi, you could find women working in banks and cloth stores, but in small towns and villages, the women, the ladies, were in their homes, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children. They did not clamor to be seen. They were content to remain hidden. Nowadays, though, as we walk the streets of Vrindavan, we see huge, loud, garish posters plastered on the sides of buildings advertising loose-haired, imposing, scary-looking female so-called gurus. Such women are not content to remain hidden, to quietly share the wisdom they have earned by their many years of selfless service as wives, mothers, and grandmothers with their daughters, nieces, granddaughters, and other lady friends and acquaintances. Those unattractive billboard Guru Devis are a far cry from such cultured ladies as those I have mentioned above. Now, I'm not implying that there are any Matajis in our ISKCON who, if appointed as Diksha Gurus, would succumb to the temptation to wear their hair loose while sporting long, flowing orange robes and posing for photo ops. Allowing their faces to be blown up into larger-than-life size to be forced upon every passerby in the holy dham is surely not likely to be tolerated by any proposed female Diksha Guru that the GBC might elect. They would surely present themselves more tastefully if chosen for the job. Nevertheless, if FDG ship becomes an institutional law in ISKCON, I recoil in apprehension at the thought of the can of worms that a generation of ISKCON Guru Devis could open up for far down the road future generations of not so carefully chosen candidates for female Diksha Guruship. What if in some future decade some attractive young woman decides that she doesn't want to bother with the hassle of being married? After all, even though Srila Prabhupada wants all the ladies to be married, marriage is no doubt rife with difficulties, but would rather take on the service of Diksha Guru. One can just imagine what might happen if such a young Guru Devi finds herself approached by a male disciple who is desperately trying to remain celibate, but is having emotional difficulties due to overpowering sex drive. The wise men in our movement who are practicing celibacy know what would happen. They know how difficult it is for men to remain celibate in this day and age, and how gullible and soft-hearted to a fault a young woman can be. Better that such a young woman surrender to Srila Prabhupada's desire that all women be married. She can purify her heart by the method given by Lord Sri Krishna himself, to serve her husband according to Stri Dharma and bear children according to the process of Garbhadhan Sanskara, raising them as Vaishnavas. Her husband can become the guru for that struggling brahmachari, and she can assist her husband as his disciple's Guru Mata. But if we create a precedent for future young women that Diksha Guruship is another choice for those women who are not satisfied to perform Sri Dharma, there will be confusion in the minds of those women as to what their duties are. I have personally found that if a woman is actually doing her duty, she has little time for anything outside her Sri Dharma. A man, he works from sun to sun, but a woman's work is never done. The fact that women always have too much to do is the expert arrangement of the Lord who planned it that way. We women, although expert at a lot of tasks, are sometimes lacking in discrimination and weak in our resolve. We can easily fall prey to temptations and bad association and be led astray. We require not only protection, which means protection from danger, as well as control and direction, from our fathers, husbands, and sons, but also full-time engagement. Busy women, happily engaged in the service of their husbands and families in Krishna consciousness, have little chance to get into trouble. In fact, they find their feminine power and loveliness, as well as blessings from above, increasing as they remain devoted to their protectors. If a woman follows her Sri Dharma dutifully for the pleasure of the Lord, she is kept fully engaged, occupied in positive tasks for her entire life up until the point of death. Again, this is the expert arrangement of the Lord for souls in women's bodies, and when women follow their dharma properly, the good effects of this perfect arrangement of the Lord are felt throughout human society. If by chance a Vaishnavi finds that she does have extra time beyond her normal duties, then she can engage in other services that support the strengthening of Krishna consciousness among her family members, friends, and others. If she feels inspired to do so, she can preach, distribute books, do public kirtan, and perform temple and deity services as long as her outreach endeavors are authorized by her protector. Conversely, women who wander outside the jurisdiction of their male protectors, even in thought and even with the best of intentions, can easily find their feminine power, effulgence, influence, and chastity beginning to wane like the waning moon, which gradually becomes totally dark at Amavasya. A Diksha Guru has to be powerful and independent. Women are empowered by Krishna when they are devoted and obedient to their male protectors. If they remain dependent on their protectors in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is so pleased with such women that he bestows great power on them. See stories of Shubha and Shaibya in 5 divine abodes by Jaidayal Goenka, taken from Padma Purana. When women act independently, they become a source of trouble to their husbands and others, and their Shakti dwindles. Srila Prabhupada made it clear in the Bhagavatam how he wanted us women to behave. For some basics, see Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 23, Text 2, Canto 7, Chapter 11, Texts 25 to 29, and Canto 9, Chapter 3, Text 10. We lady followers of Srila Prabhupada need to apply ourselves to learning how to behave properly until proper behavior becomes second nature. This takes a lifetime of practice. Everything else will fall into place in the coming generations if we pioneers continue to strive toward living our Sri Dharma in Krishna consciousness. This is how we women can do our part in promoting Daiva Varnashram Dharma. If, on the other hand, we introduce practices which are unprecedented in Vedic culture and in our Sampradaya, we are indulging in risky business. There have been a few initiating Guru Devis in our line. I recognize that fact. Those female initiating Gurus gave Harinam initiation under the auspices of our Guru Parampara during and around the time of Lord Chaitanya, All but one of those ladies were acting under the protection and direction of their husbands or fathers, who were either Vishnu Tattva or, as in Srinivasa Acharya's case, empowered representatives of Lord Chaitanya. As I have said before, more than female Diksha Gurus, the world desperately needs to see examples of ladies who are actually following the instructions for chaste women that Srila Prabhupada labored night after night to give us. If we refuse to perform our own duty according to the body we have earned by our very own prarabdha karma, if we think that the duties Lord Krishna has prescribed for us are somehow not sufficient preaching to bring souls to Krishna consciousness, if we feel that the different kind of mentalities found in male and female genders and the duties ascribed to each are somehow irrelevant, outdated, or inconsequential, if we feel that it is not enough to preach by example as a Krishna-conscious wife, mother, and grandmother, and if we choose instead to do another's duty, neglecting the intended social paradigm of the Lord, we take a risk, as Srila Prabhupada explains below, in a quote from Srila Prabhupada. So you have to understand, first of all, what is nature's law. You cannot surpass the nature's law. That is not possible. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Nature's law will go on. Best thing is, let the hand can typewrite, but if you say no, the leg will typewrite, that is not possible. Take the hand's business, take the leg's business, and combine them cooperatively. Then the body will be nice. If the leg says, why will the hand type? I shall type. That is not possible. Legs, all right, you walk, and hands, you type. Then combine together. Then it will be nice. You cannot change the different capacities. There is God's law, nature's law. Let the man and woman combine together and live peacefully. The woman takes charge of the household affairs. The man may take charge of bringing money. And they meet together, have a deity at home, together chant Hare Krishna. Where is the difficulty? That is unity, combined together, working differently but for the same purpose, for pleasing Krishna. Then you will become happy. That is equality, unity in variety. That is wanted. Variety is enjoyment. Variety is not disturbing. Just like Krishna gave all of them fruits, but variety. They are coming from the same source, the earth, but Krishna is so intelligent. Varieties of fruit, varieties of flowers, varieties of grain, varieties of brain. That is enjoyment. So, take instruction from Krishna. Why is he sending so many varieties? He could have given one fruit, the coconut. With great difficulty to chop it, you can get out the water. No? There are so many nice fruits. Just see Krishna's intelligence. So Krishna has made the varieties. Why should you disturb? Let the variety be united. Just like these varieties are united, and it looks nice, and if you eat, that will be nice. Why do you want to stop the variety? That is Mayavadi. Equality does not mean to stop variety. All the varieties combine together for the same purpose. That is required, is it not? One must know how to put the variety to look very nice. If all the vases have only rose flowers, it would have not been so beautiful. The rose is costly, but the leaves are not costly, but the leaves and the rose fit together. It becomes very good variety. That art is required, how to keep varieties together for Krishna consciousness and look very beautiful. This art is known to the Krishna conscious person, not to the fools and rascals. Why has Krishna made varieties? Why should you try to change? That is lack of Krishna consciousness. When Krishna has made so many varieties, there is some purpose. That one should understand. That is intelligence. You can organize these farms very nicely, then this devil's workshop will stop. That's Srila Prabhupada speaking in New Orleans on 31st of July 1975. In the above quote, Srila Prabhupada says, equality does not mean to stop variety. We men and women are equal spiritually, but materially we are not equal. According to the body we have earned by our karma, we are given prescribed duties. That is Krishna's expert arrangement. He has created the varieties of brains, bodies, mentalities, and abilities within human society, and he has also created the relative varieties of work within human society. Let us learn what those prescribed duties are for each of the varnas and for women as a separate group. And let us perform those duties as perfectly as possible for the pleasure of Lord Sri Krishna, who created varieties of brain, varieties of mentality, varieties of ability, and varieties of work. In this way we will feel equal and we will feel happy as well, combined together, working differently but for the same purpose, for pleasing Krishna. Then you will become happy. To fail to accept the varieties of engagement that Lord Krishna has given mankind based on the varieties of gender that Lord Krishna has created is dangerous and can lead to offenses. It can even subtly pull us toward impersonalism. Maya can then cover our intelligence with the unfortunate consequence that we may never understand Lord Krishna's and Srila Prabhupada's plan for human society. Over the last few years, since this topic of female Diksha guruship came up, although we do have a few female gurus in our line in past history, I have leaned toward the side of avoiding institutionalizing Diksha guruship for women. My attitude is based on 5 objections. 1. A Diksha guru needs to possess a measure of independence in order to perform his service nicely. Women are never to be given independence. They are meant always to be dependent, always protected. Consequently, they can't effectively perform the necessarily independent duties of a Diksha guru. Number 2, the Diksha guru takes on the karmic reactions of his disciples. Husbands have to suffer the results of their wives' sins. Therefore, how can a woman take on the karmic reactions of someone else, a disciple, without passing them on to her husband? Number 3, institutionalizing Diksha guruship even for males, what to speak of for females, is not shastric. Number 4, traditionally we see only male gurus giving Diksha. The women in our line who initiated others during the time of Lord Chaitanya were most likely giving Harinam initiation, which is not actually Diksha. Number 5, a woman cannot receive a sacred thread, so how can she give a sacred thread? Someone objected to my stance, saying, well, not all elderly women in ISKCON have husbands or sons who can protect them, so what are they then to do? Who will protect them? My answer is that instead of desiring or clamoring to take on a recognized position of leadership within ISKCON, which Diksha guruship within ISKCON has come to denote, they should instead find a way to live quietly with other women in a secluded place, as Srila Prabhupada recommended to Yamuna and Dina Tarini to do, producing their own food and keeping a cow or 2. If they prefer not to live on a farm, then they should find someone, a godbrother, a godnephew, or a sadhu who is sympathetic with and supportive of Srila Prabhupada's teachings, who is willing to protect them and engage them in devotional service that is appropriate for ladies. Engagements that are compatible with the psychophysical nature of women are many. Some of the services ladies can render are teaching girls how to cook, sew, spin, weave, clean, decorate, care for babies and small children, perform deity seva, sing, dance, and play musical instruments, and serve a husband. Such women can also render many other services, including matchmaking, astrological, medical, counseling, or childcare services. For the rest of us who have husbands to protect us, we should submit ourselves to their leadership and promote them, encouraging them to become pure devotees. If they are Brahminically inclined, we should encourage them to eventually take on the heavy responsibility of accepting disciples. After all, the wife benefits through the husband's spiritual progress. To be the wife of an initiating guru is a great privilege and heavy burden of love. It bestows auspiciousness on a woman by conferring yet another type of motherhood on her. Guru Patni is one of the 7 mothers. In this way, we not only invite great blessings upon ourselves and our husbands, but also upon our husbands' disciples, our children, grandchildren, and other Vaishnavas in our sphere of influence. I have said it many times before, but I'll say it again. The world desperately needs to see Krishna-conscious couples who are solid in their commitment to each other and to following their respective roles according to Shastra. Srila Prabhupada's mission will be strengthened by the example of long-standing devotee marriages, especially those couples who follow their dharma as laid out by our founder Acharya. Most of the people in the world are householders, and they need to see that we Hare Krishnas follow our dharma, that we are still chanting Hare Krishna after many decades, and that we couples are still together after all the challenges that Maya Devi and the personality of Kali have thrown at us. Then quoting from Srila Prabhupada, it is not that women cannot be Acharya. Generally they do not become, in very special case. But Jannava Devi was accepted as, but she did not declare. Then back to Mataji's discussion. Srimati Jannava Devi's service as successor to her Lord is time and time again cited as reasonable evidence that ISKCON should adopt the practice of naming women as Diksha Gurus. 2 important points are made by Srila Prabhupada in regard to Srimati Jannava Devi. Number one point is that she did not declare. I repeat, she did not declare. The quiet service of Srimati Jannava Devi is a far cry from the billboard Guru Devis plastered all over Vrindavan, who have no qualms about declaring that they are quite available for darshan and, by the way, looking for followers. Jannava Mata bore the cross of carrying on her husband's preaching mission because she was intended to do so by Sri Nityananda Rama, the Supreme Lord, not because she desired to enjoy the name, fame, and the perks of being a declared Guru Devi. She is simply Lord Nitai's fully surrendered maidservant, and that is why he chose her to do the job. She is an expansion of Sri Lakshmi Devi herself. Number 2. The other point Srila Prabhupada made in regard to Srimati Jannava Devi being the Acharya for our Sampradaya is that Lady Acharyas are very rare. So we should keep it that way. We should not bring criticism upon our ISKCON movement by institutionalizing female Diksha Guruship, nor should we create artificial adhikar for our ladies by pronouncing them fit to offer Diksha. Srila Prabhupada observed that his female followers were happy because they were cleansing the temple and cooking very nicely. When confronted with the question, women today want the same rights as men, how can they be satisfied? Srila Prabhupada replied, everything will be satisfied. Just like the women, Krishna conscious, they are working. They don't want equal rights with men. It is due to Krishna consciousness. They are cleansing the temple, they are cooking very nicely, they are satisfied. They never say that I have to go to Japan for preaching like Prabhupada. They never say, this is artificial. So Krishna consciousness means work in his constitutional position. The women, men, when they remain in their constitutional position, there will be no artificial. From a morning walk on the 27th of May 1974 in Rome. Mataji finishes off by saying, pranams and gratitude again to all those who have so far contributed to the discussion. Your aspiring service, Falini Devi Dasi, ACBSP. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.